How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Today I'm going to talk about quiet quitting. What is it? Why are people getting so worked up over it? But before I begin, this video is brought to you by Moomoo. You can get up to 15 stocks now. This is even better than their last best offer, which was I think 13 free shares. Just sign up through my referral link down in the video description below. You can help me out greatly. First of all, I think the phrase quiet quitting is just a new phrase attached to something that's already been going on for many years. But now that there is a phrase attached to it, it kind of is provocative. The fact that you are quitting sounds like you're not going to do any more work. Anyway, let me describe what the heck quiet quitting is. It's basically you are not really quitting your job. You are just deciding to not push yourself too hard. You're just doing exactly what's in the job description and no more. When it's time to go home, you go home. You're not gonna go over and beyond and try to trip over yourself in order to improve the entire organization, which is basically what your boss really wants you to do, because they want you to work more for free and essentially put all you've got into it, but then not really pay you for that. Now, there are different opinions on this, and what I've seen on the news and on blog sites and stuff, usually if you are a worker bee, you are for quiet quitting most of the time. But if you are an entrepreneur, if you're the boss, you own the business, you're very much against quiet quitting because you want people to work more for free for you, of course, right? So it's like a divide between if you are the worker or if you're the boss. Think about it this way. Let's say you got two workers, high-tech workers, you both make 100K a year. One person just works just barely enough, 40 hours. And another worker, let's say they go over beyond and they work 50 hours a week, 10 hours a day, roughly. This is significantly more because instead of staying at work for 8-9 hours, you're staying at work for 11 hours, right? You gotta add in the lunch hour. One person is spending 25% more time at work. Therefore, if you logically think about it, you probably should get paid 25% more. In my opinion, 40 hours versus 50 hours, the 40-hour person is gonna get, let's say like a 3% raise, right? They're not gonna get all that much, just kind of like a small pat on the back type of raise. But then let's say an overachiever working 50 hours or working very hard, they're not gonna get a 25% raise at most, maybe 10%, maybe 15% raise. So in my opinion, working 25% more to get a 15% raise is just not worth it. The 40-hour per week person has a better work-life balance. They're going home earlier to spend time with friends and family. And on top of this, they're getting paid more per hour. I want to cover an interesting concept some people might have missed. Because of the pandemic, people are able to work remotely, and some tech workers are able to even wedge in two remote jobs at the same time. If you are efficient enough, if you work less than 50% of the total time per job, you can actually squeeze in two jobs. So if you are a mediocre player at two jobs, 2 times the salary is certainly more than one overachieving job. Now, how efficient you are really depends on your skill level. Let's say you are a total genius. You can just sit down and do a week's worth of work in 5 hours, right? Some people are able to do that, or maybe 10 hours. I've even heard of this one guy who was doing an IT job, and it's basically calling up a bunch of scripts. He wrote like a master script where he just kind of runs it every single day. Basically, he doesn't have to do anything. He just runs the script. It does what he is supposed to do with some automation, and basically he doesn't have to do anything. So when you hear me say, oh, you only need to work like 25% of the time to be an average worker, this really applies to, I'd say, white collar jobs. For manual labor jobs, I'd say you pretty much just have to work the number of hours that's required of you. I had someone comment that asked about how much should you expect to get raises, because inflation is really high recently, right? It's like 8.3%. And I believe it was some people at Google or Facebook or something, and they were like, look, inflation is 8% How come we're not getting 8% of raises? Everybody should getting as much because they need to keep up with inflation. You're getting the same salary, but then the same salary is not buying you as much. So the buying power has been lowered. Now the question here is, should you expect your raise to match your inflation? In the point of view of a boss, you most certainly don't want to increase the salary because this is going to increase your cost. So you're going to try to not give raises basically and just kind of wing it by, pass off say 3% and hope everybody's going to be happy, and if there's a squeaky wheel that complains, maybe they're going to give them an 8% raise. But I think the default is most likely 3% or even 0%. If you have good enough a resume, if you have enough skills, you should most certainly look somewhere else, and then you're going to get your raise that way. This is how I get my raises. When I was still working as an engineer, yeah, I most certainly switched around every 3 years. I never had a job for more than 3.5 years or so. But every single time I switch, I'm gonna get like a 10 to 25% raise. And this is how you just kind of keep on increasing your salary. Very rarely do I ever see the boss voluntarily give you a raise that keeps up with your skill level. So you actually do really need to switch around. As a worker, this is not a charity. You're trading the number of hours that you work for money. Now you want the highest amount per hour that you're gonna work. So if you're gonna get paid a salary, you want to work as little as possible for the same amount of salary. Some people like to cite that they really love their job, so they're gonna put in any amount of hours. They really like hanging around there. So I think this is what the employer wants you to think. They spend a lot of time making the workplace a very inviting environment, right? They have the AC on, they have a lot of amenities like gyms, they would have food, all kinds of nice amenities, including car charging, right? Some people might just go into work just so that they can charge their car. So as the owner of a company, you probably want to get people to work, not directly, but rather you have them work for a cause, an altruistic cause probably, and to get people really fired up, you want people to think that they are working to connect the world or making life multi-planetary, some big overarching goal that makes you in awe and you're like, oh my gosh, I really believe in this. So I'm gonna put all my time and hours into it and work towards it, regardless of how much you're getting paid. So if you're putting like 100 hours in and getting the same exact salary, you're essentially reducing the amount that you get paid per hour by more than half. While I do think that some of these companies have really worthwhile goals, you really should not be working for free. You really need to watch out for how much you're getting paid by the hour. One way to figure out if your employer will actually pay you more for the amount of extra time that you put in, you should really keep track of how many hours you're putting in and then watch for your next bonus, watch for your next raise, and see if you are being compensated proportionally to the amount of extra hours that you put in. My experience is you probably won't. And if you're not going to be compensated proportionally, this is why people quiet quit. They lower their effort. In turn, you increase the amount that you're getting paid per hour. Thanks for watching this video. It's just a little bit of my opinion on how to get paid the most for your time. We all have limited time, and the more you get paid per hour of your time, the less you have to work. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe for more.